This is the Nuu A25 smartphone, a Helio G99 processor smartphone for $170. Let's check out the full review. So I have a full unboxing video that you can watch, but I'll go through how this phone feels really quickly. The back is metal. It also has metal bands on the side. And on the back here, you have triple camera setup, a 50 megapixel camera here, a 2 megapixel camera here, and then a bokeh camera here and a flash. You also have the Nuu logo in the back. And on this side, you have your volume rockers as well as your power button. And on this side, you have a SIM slot. And on the bottom, you have a speaker grill, a USB-C port, as well as a headphone jack, which is very nice to see. And finally, on the front, this is the screen. You can see that there's the fingerprint icon that shows up when you tap the screen. And I'm just going to open it up, and there we go. So that's how the front of the phone looks. You can see that the bezels are pretty slim, so it actually makes for a very nice looking phone. I'm actually quite pleased with how it looks. I run a Pixel 6a, which is not the best phone. It's a mid-range phone, but this one looks way better, I gotta tell you. So very satisfied with how the phone looks and how the phone feels. Alright, so I'm going to showcase a little bit of the screen to you. Right now I'm playing a 4K video, but this is a 6.7-inch AMOLED display with a resolution of 1080p. This obviously has a resolution of about 1080p by about 2200 because it is a longer display, but it looks absolutely beautiful. I have no complaints about how the screen looks. As you can see, the colors are very vivid. It looks very nice to look at, and the brightness is very good as well. I estimate the brightness to be at around 500 nits. So no complaints about the brightness here. The lowest brightness is actually also pretty good, so I'm just going to pause this video and show that to you. So right now we're at almost brightest setting, well, 75%, and if we lower it all the way down, it actually goes pretty dark. So you can barely see it right now, but I can still kind of see it. So the lowest brightness is enough for you to use in, let's say, when you're in bed. So that makes it pretty good because, as you know, there's a lot of these Chinese phones where the lowest brightness is, well, it's not very bright. Sorry, it's not very dark, so then when you use it in bed, it's super bright and it blinds you. So I think this is pretty good here. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the touch screen as well. The touch screen is quite good. It's very responsive. It is a 5-point touch, I believe, but as you can see, no complaints about the touch here. Alright, so let's talk about the battery life. I have to say I'm very pleased with the battery life on this phone. It's 5,000 milliamp hours, which means you can use it for 2 days, no problem, with a lot of screen on time, and it will not die. That being said, this battery is not absolutely perfect. For example, I did see higher than normal phone idle usage. As you can see, for example, I have 9% idle over about 2 days, which is not bad, let's say, but it could be a little bit better. I've seen better on other phones, but not bad at all. I just charged this up before I filmed this video, but otherwise the battery is very good and you really don't have to worry about the battery life. Let's talk about the sound here. This phone does only have a mono speaker. It does not have a stereo speaker setup. That being said, the sound here is passable. I will say that it's good enough to be used for games, for music if you want to use it. But if you want to listen to some, let's say, decent quality music, you should be using Bluetooth headphones or earbuds, or wired if you want to go that route as well. There's not a lot of bass here, so a lot of bass beats will be missed, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Oh, maximum volume is pretty good as well, and minimum volume is decent, so no complaints there. Beat in 3, 2, 1. So whenever the peaks are on the left side of the screen, that's when the bass drop hits, but you can't really hear it. So just observe the left side of the screen. So as you can hear, as you could hear, there was virtually no bass, but that's to be expected of a phone, especially let's say a lower end phone. It's not your $1,000 phone. But I gotta say that the audio is passable. There's really no complaints there. And of course, when you are calling and receiving calls, the audio is fairly clear, so no complaints there as well. So let's talk about the performance of this phone. This phone does have a Helio G99 processor, which is, let's say, suited for gaming. I think it's one of MediaTek's better chips. With that being said, how it compares to Snapdragon chips, that is, well, it's a mid-range Snapdragon chip competitor, put it that way. Helio G99. It's not the best chip you're gonna have, but it's also not gonna be the worst one as well. But as you can see, it's quite snappy. There's really not a lot of hitches on this. I will say though that if you swipe left to Google this cover and you scroll down for the very first time, you can see that it hitches a little bit as it loads things, but once it loads, then the scrolls are pretty smooth. So I'm going to refresh it one more time and I'll allow you to see. So we do this, you can see the hitching as it scrolls, and but once it loads, then the hitches go away. Alright, so I'm going to kill all the apps in here, and we'll do some app launches and see how fast they take. So we're going to go to Chrome, and as you can see, that was very, very fast. And we go to YouTube. A little bit slower, but still not bad at all. Google Play Store. Very, very fast, almost instantaneous. And then we have a couple of games that will launch a little bit later. What else do we have here? Disney Plus. Not bad. And yeah, so app launches are pretty fast. You have about 6 gigabytes of RAM in here, so that's gonna be, it's enough for most people, put it that way. Do I have 6 or 8 in my Pixel? I do not remember. But anyway, so good stuff there. Let's move on to gaming because I think that's what many of you guys are waiting for. So I'll show you a little bit about how it games. All right, so this right here is going to be eFootball 2024, and I'm currently playing as Manchester United. It's a little bit hard to play right now because I can't even see it very well. Through ball, this one like this, and then oof, offside. So I'm gonna play a little bit. I'm gonna turn the volume a little bit up so people can hear. But as you can see, there's black bars on the side of the screen because it doesn't expand all the way, which is too bad. All right, so as you can see, the frame rates aren't great. I would say the frame rates, they look to be about 25 FPS, so not the best I can see. It doesn't run super well on this chip, but there are other games that run a little bit better. So let's switch games and we'll move on to FIFA. All right, and here we're going to play EAFC. So, all right, so we're going to, let's see how we can do this. There we go. So that was, that was too easy. That was in the beginner level, that's why. So, yeah, so right now, EAFC is running a lot better than eFootball. I think this is definitely better optimized, so that's not a bad thing. So, yeah. I'll play a little bit more just to showcase what it's like, but as you can see, it works out pretty well. That being said though, I personally do not like playing FIFA as much as eFootball. I think eFootball feels a little bit better, so we'll see. And again, I'm horrible playing this on phone. I'm very much used to my controller, so we'll have to see. No, that was way too easy. All right, so I'll let this replay, and after that, we'll move on to the next game. But otherwise, it runs fairly well. It's fairly well optimized, I think, FC 24. Alright, so right now I have Genshin Impact playing, and it's actually playing really, really well. This is a good 30 FPS, if not a little bit more. So I am very, very satisfied with this. So let's look for some enemies to fight. I haven't played this for a long time, so we'll have to see. I don't see any enemies nearby. I think there's probably enemies over there. Let's see. Alright, I found some bad guys. Let's see how well I do here. It's been a long time since I played this, so... Is that guy not even getting hurt? Oh my goodness. I think that guy's not even getting hurt. I gotta run away. Anyway, as you can see, it runs very well, so I really have no complaints about this. Genshin Impact will work, and sorry, I just got booted again. Alright, so this is me on a multiplayer map in Call of Duty. It actually works pretty well. Just look at that frame rate. The frame rate's really good. I'm pretty happy with that. Playing with bots right now. Well, I'm assuming they're bots because they're really bad, and so am I. So we'll have to see. But yes, it runs super well. I have no complaints. Oh boy, I'm gonna die. And yeah, oh, dead. Anyway, but yes, works very well. No complaints at all. Man, these mobile games are getting really well optimized, considering this is a it's a mid-range chip, right? So quite happy with how it's working right now. So alright, so Need for Speed works pretty well as well. No complaints. As you can see, I'm currently doing a drift trial, but it's I'm not very good at this game. I like playing Need for Speed on my computer. Yeah, whatever. Nobody cares. I'm gonna do drifting really badly, but that's fine. Yes, that's fine. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this device for gaming. This thing does well in gaming, and I gotta say that if you're a gamer and you don't have a high budget, this is most likely the phone for you, considering everything else is pretty decent as well. Yes, so I've showcased many of the popular games, as you can see here, and we're gonna talk about the connectivity now, because that's pretty important. So I currently have this box here because I want to show you all the GSM, WCDMA, and LTE bands. So on GSM, you have 850, 900, 1800, 900. WCDMA, you have bands 1, 2, 4, 5, and 8. LTE, you have bands 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 12, 13, 17, 25, 26, 41, 66, 71. So all this means that it's going to be very compatible worldwide. Do check with your carrier to make sure that it's compatible. Check what bands they use and check what bands this has and match them up. But once they do, your reception is going to be fairly decent. I experienced no issues here. All the bands work pretty well. This will be able to take and receive phone calls and text messages, no problem, as well as data. Data speeds are pretty decent. It supports Bluetooth as well. I'll just let you know that in terms of Google Maps, or not Google Maps, GPS, the GPS here is, we'll say, decent. It's better than my Pixel 6a, but that's not saying much because my Pixel 6a is horrible. It updates like once every 2 seconds, but this one updates, I would say, fairly once a second, once every 3/4 of a second. So I would say not a huge issue here. It'll get you where you want to go and it'll work. So that's all I have to say for the reception. Lastly, we're going to talk about the camera, and as to be expected, the camera is it's the worst part of the phone, but that's to be expected because in terms of software, that's what Chinese phones lag behind the most. And I'll say that if you're taking a picture of a macro shot in a good lighting condition, that's about as ideal as you can get. It is difficult to tell the difference in terms of quality between this and a decent quality phone like a Pixel 6a or even something more expensive. It's once you get into the non-macro shots, right? Like you're getting into a landscape shot, you're taking a picture of your street, you're taking a picture of people. That's when you start seeing a little bit of a difference. Once you zoom in, you'll see that the detail is very, very muddy, very washed, well, not washed out, it's actually kind of oversaturated, but it's kind of muddy in terms of the quality, as you can see here. The colors are very overblown in some areas where you lose a lot of detail. For example, if you have very high contrast in your photo, so you're going to lose a lot of that detail there. And of course, in terms of low light, these phones still have a ways to go in low light. Again, that's probably the biggest issue with these phones is the low light capabilities, and that is something that really you are not able to get. So that's really too bad. In terms of the video quality here, video quality is fine. You can film up to 2K resolution on this device. Video quality, as you can see, it's not great, but it'll do the job, I'll say. So yes, it's not a very good camera, as expected from Chinese phones, because of their software is just not there, unfortunately. So I've asked the manufacturer, I reached out to them and said, hey, are you going to get any more updates to your camera software, to your firmware? And I'm still waiting to hear for an answer, but I hope they do, because that's probably the weakest part of the phone. The rest of the phone's actually pretty decent, especially for the price. All right, let's talk about the phone and what I think about it. Final thoughts. This phone is actually, it's impressed me. It's one of the better phones I've tested in a while. Honestly, I would have liked to use this phone over my Pixel 6a if it weren't for the camera quality. That's how good I think this phone is, and I think that's fairly high praise. The battery life is good on this phone. There's no need to worry, whereas my Pixel, I'm always worrying about whether or not I have enough battery. Performance is good. All the gaming videos that you saw me do, it does fairly well in gaming. It's quite snappy. It does run a very clean version of Android 13 as well, and in terms of connectivity, it works pretty decent. In fact, it's even better than my Pixel 6a. The only downside is the camera. These cameras here are the biggest downside on this phone. It is the thing that it's probably going to stop you from using this phone if you want to use it, because of how bad the cameras are, and it's just something that Chinese phones regularly struggle with, unfortunately. With that being said, this phone costs $170, and that is actually a very, very good price for the phone you get and how well it's optimized and how well it runs most things. The only downside is the camera, so look at those pictures, see if you actually are able to get over them, or if this is going to your son, or to your grandma, or to your mother, the camera's probably fine. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Click on the link and check out the Nuu A25, and I'll see you guys in the next one.